this is an example of the Carel. Biggest difference, really, in terms of technology, is Carel really want you to use their stepper valve, what they call on the small stuff the E2V. If you get a big one, it's the E3V, etc., etc. So all your good stuff about stepper valves that you've probably talked about before applies with that. It's not like an AKV pulse valve or solenoid valve. If you disconnect an AKV or a solenoid valve, it'll shut. If you disconnect a stepper valve that's mid-cycle, it'll stay exactly where it is because it's on a worm drive. If you disturb that valve plug and it's driving, you're going to need to reboot the controller to put the valve back to where it needs to be, or wind the valve shut with a magnet. It's also sensitive to how those are wired up. So on a stepper valve, you've got two coils in the valve stator, 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 on the terminals there. And you can check if that's working with resistance. If you unplug the valve from the board, you'll have continuity and a given resistance on 1 and 3, and you'll have continuity with a given resistance on 2 and 4. It doesn't actually really matter exactly what that resistance is. It'll change a little bit depending on what temperature of the coil is and everything else. But if you've got one that's, I think usually with Carel it sits about 19 ohms. If you've got one that's 19 ohms and one that's 1019 ohms, either your wire's broke or your coil is dead, I'm afraid to say. So, and it won't work. What'll happen is it'll either drive open and never shut, or it'll drive shut and never open. The controller will usually be able to tell you on the fault codes that will come up on Carel, it's EFS comes up on the display if it thinks the coil is faulty. It will not tell you if the valve is stuck. All it knows is what it can see electrically. It don't know if it's mechanically stuck. We talked about this last time, didn't we, Trevor, on the podcast? You will need to physically check. If the controller says it's at 0 and it's not saying EFS, it's happy the stator's working and it thinks it's shut. Whether or not it is shut is a different matter.